I'm often asked why I'm convinced that life continues after physical death. Well, I've had so many personal experiences of spirit people, spirit animals, and I've also had the privilege of observing many, many mediums in action, whether it's in trance, clairvoyance, clairaudience, psychic artists, or two mediums working together, both picking up on the same link. But I thought just today I would just give a very brief example of a personal experience that was pretty pivotal in my life. I can give you so many experiences, but I'll just give one today. In my sleep state, only I wasn't asleep. I was stepping onto a train at dusk, a steam train. And as I stepped on, this calm voice in my ear said, as long as you understand it's a one-way journey, it's the journey we all have to make. And immediately I had been waving to my husband goodbye and stepping onto the train. And immediately he said that, I quickly understood what he was telling me. I wouldn't be coming back. And I had a shiver up my spine, which I've just had now, remembering it. And I quickly stepped right back off the train. And I then awoke, if I had been asleep, but I was more conscious, and woke my husband, and I was tearful. And I said to my husband, I've just had the choice whether to live or die. And my husband said, surely not. I said, yes. I said, in the operation in 2 days' time, it's going to go wrong. And he said, what makes you say that? I said, because I've just had a choice to live or die, but then I have chosen to live, but I know the operation's going to go wrong. And I always remember my husband's words that it's a sausage factory, that ladies go, you have a minor operation, it's a cup of tea and a sandwich, and then you go home. So although he said that, and he's a consultant doctor, I knew something was going to go wrong. And the night beforehand, I felt I was going to the guillotine, and I honestly did. And in my little vanity case, the box that you take in with your stuff in it, I had my toothbrush, my nightdress, my dressing gown. I knew I wasn't going to be coming out. I knew something was going to go badly wrong. So when they did the operation, I said, please give me a full anaesthetic because I want to keep my emotions out of it. I didn't tell them that bit. But I said, please give me a full anaesthetic because I'm a bit afraid. And so they did. And then when I felt the lady's hands on my face to wake me up, when I awoke, I immediately went into like a fetus position. I was in absolute agony. It was absolutely excruciating. So she quickly called over the anaesthetist, who then put injections in me, painkillers, I understand. And then they wheeled me back to a room where all these other ladies were having a cup of tea and a sandwich, the sausage factory that my husband had talked about. And as I lay there for a moment, all of a sudden, as my husband will tell you, my eyes rolled back and I was dead. Thank God I had my husband there. He nearly wasn't going to be coming with me, but I knew I needed him. And I'd asked him, make sure you do come with me. And so he took time off work and did. And I was gone. So this is the bit I wasn't aware of. He said it's vasovagal, something to do with I'd been pumped with so many painkillers. I was no longer aware of what was happening to me. But a massive big gusher hemorrhage had gone on in the pelvic area. I shouldn't say this, but it felt like I'd gone to a backstreet abortionist for a gynecological operation. So anyway, he had my head put down low to avoid brain damage. He'd asked the nurses to get drips and so on and went into action. And that's really what saved me. And when I came round, the nurse was saying, oh, is she allergic to the anaesthetic? And he said, no, she's hemorrhaging. And we found out later I had a massive hemorrhage. I looked like I was 9 months pregnant with the hemorrhage. And it felt like from the gynecological pelvis area to the neck, it felt like it was all broken by a bull, as though I'd just been kicked all over the place. They had an inch tape round me, and every time they moved me a centimetre, I'd pass out yet again. So I just lost count of the times I would pass out because the pain was absolutely excruciating. So it led on to all sorts of complications, but it led on to so many experiences of spirit. They wheeled me to another room because it was obviously frightening all the other ladies after their minor operation, which had been the same as mine. And in the night, I found I couldn't breathe. So I was panicking. Tony was asleep on a camp bed in the room, as was our little dog under the blanket, Sue. And all of a sudden, this male voice around my right ear again said, there's fluid going onto your lungs. If you try to sit up, it will clear. They were his exact words. So I did try to sit up, and as I did, I passed out again with the pain because I had pillows all around me and this permanent inch tape around me as they were monitoring the fact that I was getting bigger and bigger and bigger with the hemorrhage. As I say, looked 9 months pregnant. The following day, I was told I've got blood clots going on the lung, and each time that happens, that's potentially fatal. So luckily, the voice had said it in such a calm way. It's just fluid going on the lung, and try and sit up and it will clear, which I had done. And luckily, I had awoken and it had cleared. That happened more than once, and I didn't have the voice again. But I knew what to do. Another time I was laying in the bed because I was in such a bad state, and I could feel the weight and the warmth of the fur. My little dog, Jack, a girl called Jack, my Jack Russell, who'd passed to spirit a few weeks before, and she was laying across my right calf. And it was as clear as day, not just by sight, but by weight and by the feeling in every sense. There she was laid across my right calf, and then I must have passed out again. And it's like I was more there than here. And again, a day or two later, they told me I had a deep vein thrombosis forming in my right calf. But I do believe little Jack was giving me healing there. And that's why that healed quite quickly, thank goodness. This led on to all sorts of other complications, septicemia, kidneys into some sort of, I think they said it was an insult to the kidneys, so the kidneys had gone berserk. All sorts of other things happened, and it took me a year to get right. So there's just some experiences. So I think I'll just close there, and I could tell you more, unless I tell you a little bit more. Another night, I can only think the blood clot must have gone on my lung, and I wasn't awake enough to sit up for it to clear. And I saw myself in my old Volvo car with its cobweb under the mirror that my husband used to joke about. And I was driving it to a lady in Devon. And I couldn't breathe, so I'd opened the window. It didn't help. I opened the car door. That didn't help. And then I knew I wasn't going to get to Sally's house in Devon in time. And then I started shouting in my head, Tony, Tony, wake up. Well, Tony woke up. I was totally unconscious. So he said to me, I don't know how I heard you because you were unconscious. And then he rushed me to the hospital. So that was a blood clot that probably didn't dissolve on the lung. And when I told Sally sometime later, she said, oh, that was the night we did a healing meditation circle. She said, we must have been sending some sort of light out and you were picking that up. Sometime later, I went to the spiritualist church in Devon, in Paynton, in fact, and the medium said, oh, I'm coming to this lady on the front row, which was myself. And she said, go out in peace and not in pieces. You've had loads of experiences of spirit lately, and they want you to know none of it was imagination. So, the story went on, and, there was one that was quite a life-changing experience. It cost us our children that we didn't have, our twins, and it nearly cost me my life. And it gave me so many experiences of spirit. And they do say, send your prayers out to ask for a spirit doctor, ask for a spirit protector. And I had done that in the past. So I just presume that that was my spirit doctor who had come in to give me help at a time when I had a choice between the two worlds. But it's as real, that world is as real as this world. So I think I'll just stop there, because in my life, there's just so many experiences like that. Um, and I'm not in belief of life after death. I know life goes on. And as they say, energy is immortal, but energy can be transformed. So I always say it's like the butterfly coming out of the chrysalis, and that's what happens at death. And I will talk about an out-of-body experience I had another time. But thank you very much. And if you'd like to subscribe, I'd be grateful.